session. There we go. We'll get started. So welcome tonight to Talking So Kids Listen. This is our session tonight. And to start off our session, it'd be really great to get a sense of what your starting point is as we get into this session. So in terms of tonight, we're talking about listening and our children listening. And so let me know where you are in terms of how well you feel your child is currently listening to you, to your requests. So on a scale of 0 to 10, when it comes to your child listening, with 0 being they totally ignore you, it's like talking to a brick wall, and 10 being they listen to you all the time. When you ask them to do something, they do it straight away. Where do you feel you are on that scale with your child? 0 to 10. And pop that in the chat, because it's really great to have a sense of where your starting point is. And I do this with my clients all the time. So we've got a 5, we've got a 7 out of 10, so a pretty good listener there. Youngest is about a 6, 7-year-old is about a 3 or a 4. We've got a 3, we've got a 5. And I do this with my clients a lot to check in with, well, where are you right now compared to where you want to be? You probably want to be, an 8, 9, 10, right? So that you can track your progress, you can see how much progress you make. 9-year-old oscillates between 2 and 8. 6-year-old about a 4. 3-year-old about a 4. Grand, thank you for letting me know. An 8, somebody else. So and that's such a good point that person there has made about oscillating, because it may be that sometimes your child is like an 8, a 9, a 10, right? And sometimes they're like a 2 or a 3 or a 5 or a 6. A 4-year-old is about a 5, 2-year-old is about an 8. And, this is something that won't necessarily be fixed as well. It can shift and change. It's just great to get an idea of your starting point. Okay, so tonight you're in the right place if you feel like you have to repeat yourself all the time and it's driving you mad. If you're not sure what to do and you could use some guidance, and you want to parent using gentle and conscious methods, but sometimes end up shouting and feeling bad about it. And tonight isn't for you if you're looking for a quick fix, which will sort out a long-term issue, because change can take time. If you're more of a traditional authoritarian parent who thinks gentle approaches means you're being too soft, then this probably isn't the workshop for you, because it's those kind of gentle approaches that I'm going through tonight that really work. But it just might not be, in alignment with how you want to parent. But if it is, you're in the right place, so that's great. Okay. So my promise to you is that I'm going to give you as much value as I can over this session, and I'm aiming to be a maximum of an hour tonight doing this session. And I'll let you know some of the exact methods that I've used to increase cooperation and listening with my own children and my clients' children as well. And I will also be letting you know how I can support you over a longer term basis if that's something you're interested in. So in return, I ask that you give this your attention for the next hour. If you can, switch off socials and other distractions and be really here. You can grab a notebook, cup of tea, so you can make notes, jot things down. I will ask you to interact and ask questions. So do interact in the chat when I ask you questions and ask you to interact there. Now, you know, those are ideals as well. It may be that you're needing to listen with, earbuds in or something because you're still trying to get your children to sleep, or you're doing something else that uh, can't leave and need to be doing, but you still want to listen. The ideal is if you can give it your full attention, but I would rather you came to it and listened in the way that you need to do this, so that you can get some benefit from this, even if it isn't ideal, because let's face it, life isn't ideal and we don't always get to give things our 100% attention. Obviously, you're going to get more out of it if you can, but I think some is better than none. So during this workshop, you will learn some of the outdated strategies that parents can fall into so that you can avoid those. Why that happens, that we end up resorting to strategies that might not be working or don't feel in alignment with how we want to be doing things, and what you can do instead, which is the crucial thing, what you can replace those outdated strategies with. Because, we do things a certain way because, we're trying to get our kids to listen, we're trying to get cooperation. And you can't just stop doing something, even if it's something like shouting, and that isn't working for you and not feeling good, unless you've got something to replace it with, because you're doing it for a reason. So we need to replace those with strategies that work and strategies that feel good, that feel better for you as well. So the 6-step process that hundreds of parents have used to have a calmer, happier family life is something I will also be letting you know about for those who are interested in finding out about some of the skills that I support parents with, the strategies that I use over and above what we'll have time for tonight. So I haven't introduced myself properly. I'm Sarah Parks. I'm a mum of 3. I live in Edinburgh with my husband and my 2 daughters, who are age 14 and 10. And when I'm not teaching people life-changing skills that help you and your family thrive, you can often see me walking along the canal and getting some fresh air and some because I love being out in nature. When I had my children, I wanted to use gentle, conscious, attachment-based approaches, and that's when I came across the approaches that I use and now support clients with as well. So yeah, this is just a bit about me. I'm going to go through this really quickly because I really want to get into the meat of tonight, really. So now I offer self-led courses, group support, one-to-one and two-to-one coaching to help parents, help you transform your lives, create a legacy of positive parenting change for your families, and break unhelpful old cycles that you want to get away from. And parent in the way you want to be parenting, which may be different to how you were parented. So yeah, so just some of the courses and things that I have there. Sylvie's saying she doesn't see the slides, she just sees loading. Can everybody else see the slides that I've got up? Same. Oh, you can't see the slides. That's a bit rubbish. So nobody can see the slides. Huh. Okay. That is a shame. Well, if you can't see my slides, can you see me? Just checking. Can you still see me? Yes. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing my screen then, and you can just see me instead. Because if you can't see my slides, that is a shame. Okay. Then I will stop sharing them full screen. That is a shame. I wonder why you can't see my slides. That is very odd. Okay. I'm just going to check. It's not ideal, but let me just see if I do these like this. Maybe you can see me. Sorry, bear with me with the technical hitches. Can you just let me know if you can see them now? Can you see this? Just let me know in the chat if you can see what's that slide on my screen. Yeah, so I've stopped sharing. Yeah, I had the slides up. Well, everybody can see that now. Okay, I'm going to do it like this. It's not ideal because it's not as pretty as doing a full the full slideshow, but if it means you can see them, then that's fine. Life is not perfect. So we'll do it like these. Okay. So just to let you know a little bit about, well, why I share these skills with people, and the ways in which they have helped me. So the skills that I share have really underpinned my parenting for the last 13 years. I've been using them myself and sharing them with other people, and they've helped me through so many different things, through long-term sleep deprivation, from dealing with severe allergies. What can you do when your child is really uncomfortable and you can't take that away? How can you support them? Managing new sibling relationships and sibling dynamics, strategies for managing unwanted behavior that arises at different ages and stages, and anxiety and demand avoidance and anxiety-based school avoidance. I've used it for all of those kind of things. So let's get into the strategies that we're looking at tonight. So I'm going to go through 3 outdated strategies tonight that you can replace with gentle strategies that work, that feel good for you and your child. So let me just let Amy in. So I'm going to go through what these outdated strategies are and replacements for those as well. But before I get into that, have a think about when does your child stop listening? When are the times that you are struggling with listening to your child listening to you? Is it a particular time of day? Is it with a particular task that you ask them to do? When is it? And if you can share that in the chat, that would be really great. So share in the chat, when does your child stop listening? Okay. And as you do that, I'm going to go into the first outdated strategy. So when we want our children to listen, Maria's saying after school. Thank you, Maria. Yeah. Food, sleep related struggles, when they're preoccupied with something else on a morning. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So one of the strategies that we can use, getting ready for anything, when one of the others doesn't listen, so they're copying their sibling, morning and after school and before bed, when they're hungry, and also when they're watching TV, then they won't come to eat. Okay. Or the example I've got tonight is around coming to eat, so that's perfect. So as I go through these tonight, I want you to think of your specific struggle, the specific time, and think about what you could do or what you could say around that as I go through these tonight. Okay. So the 3 outdated strategy. The first one is trying to be patient. So what it looks like. So you ask them a million times to do the thing that you're wanting them to do, like come and eat, or put the shoes on, or get dressed, or whatever it is, asking again and again and again, saying it in a nice voice, and getting more and more frustrated when they don't do it. especially because we're being nice. Because when we say it in a nice voice, you know, we expect them to do what we're asking because we're saying it in a nice voice, right? If you've ever done that, pop a yes in the chat. The thing with these outdated strategies as well, just to say, most people have done these, okay? Because it's what our parents have done or we've learned over time, right? And I'll talk a bit more about that later, but yeah. So you might say, you know, come to the table, please. I've asked you nicely to come to the table, please. You know, you'll say it again and again and again and get more and more frustrated as they don't listen. And then the second one is commands and warnings. Okay. So what this looks like is, you know, you ask them to come to the table. You'll get fed up, right? You'll get fed up and you'll say, come to the table now. And again, think of your example, think of your time of day and what that looks like for you. So with this coming to the table example, come to the table now. If you don't come now, your food's going to get cold. There'll be no time for playing after dinner, you know, the warnings. So, you know, getting annoyed, raising your voice, telling them to do it now, and warning them what's going to happen if they don't do it. And then the third one is threats and shouting. So we escalate from the trying to be nice and trying to be patient to commands and warnings. And then we get to the place where we end up with threats and shouting. So say something like, I'm sick of repeating myself, sit at the table now. Right, that's no pudding for you. I'm not cooking your favorite thing if you don't come and when I tell you to. You know, we let them know how annoyed we are and shout at them. And the thing is, you know, I've just put here, you know, why do we do this? Well, it's sometimes because that's what we've learned as we grew up. That's how our parents parented us. The only time they listen is when I shout. Have you ever thought that or said that? Yeah. And Sharon's saying, shouting, I find, escalates the situation further, and then we all feel so bad. It's a tough one. Absolutely. Yeah. And you feel that, as she's saying, because and we can get into the mindset of the only time they'll listen is when I shout. So then we end up doing it all the more. And Gemma's saying, yes, the guilt after is awful. Yeah. And the other reason why we do it as well is because we don't know what else to do, you know. And like people have said, it, you know, the guilt, it feels awful. You're wanting to be patient and you're ending up shouting. It's not how you want to be doing things. And so it feels out of alignment. It feels horrible for you and it feels horrible for your child. And Sharon's saying, I will walk out the room and then it's mummy on repeat like 50 times, which makes me even more mad and crazy. Yeah. So, you know, losing our rag, walking out the room, and then they're, you know, asking for us. Can you mute yourself if you've come off mute? That'd be great. So, so it doesn't work. So I'm going to go through now what you can replace those things with that will feel good, feel better for you, and that work as well. Now, I'm asking you to be open-minded tonight because the best things in life are often really simple. And sometimes it can feel like so you might have some thoughts like that's never going to work, or it can sound too simple. But trust me, when you try out these strategies I'm going to share with you, it can feel like magic sometimes when they work. And I I know some of you are probably here because I posted about some of the results people get, Okay, so some people have just joined a little bit later on here. So I've been going through some common outdated strategies that we use to try and get our kids to listen, which end up with shouting and threats, and they feel rubbish for them and it feels rubbish for us. So I'm now going to go through what you're going to replace those things with, because you can't just stop doing the outdated strategies. You've got to replace them. Okay. So the trying to be patient, this is an idea of what you can replace that with. And it's a skill, a tool called giving information. So with the dinner example, you would say your dinner's on the table instead of all the stuff we went through before, and that escalating and telling them a million times, right? So you'd say your dinner's on the table, or your shoes are by the door. Okay, so you're giving information. So that is strategy number one. And have a think about how, with the thing that you're thinking about, whether it's around food, whether it's around getting out the door, how could you give information to your child? So the second, number two, the commands and warnings. This is such a great skill, which works so well. And this is reminding them with one word. So instead of telling them loads and loads of times, you would say it with one word. So you've done the giving the information, and then they know what they need to do. So instead of you being in that position where you feel like you're nagging and you're saying it loads of times, you say it with one word, reminding them. And it's coming, the feeling, the vibe of this is really this feeling of reminding them, rather than, and again, this is a mindset piece, rather than, oh, they're ignoring me again. They're not doing as I said. So, feeling like you have to repeat yourself again and again, you would say it with one word, dinner. I know for me, my children get distracted. Give me a yes if your child ever gets distracted. So you want them to come and do something, you'll tell them, like, you'll let them know your dinner's on the table, and then they haven't come yet. So you're holding them from that place of reminding them and giving them the benefit of the doubt that they've just forgotten or gotten distracted or whatever, So you'd say dinner, or your dinner, or the shoes, because let's face it, by the time they've walked, from their bedroom to the front door where the shoes are, or towards it, they've got distracted. Oh, a piece of Lego, and they've gone off track. They're like, woo, so it is that thing of reminding them. So Sharon saying, I'll try that in the morning instead of put your shoes on. Yeah, because we can end up, put your shoes on now. Reminding them your shoes are by the door, and when they get distracted, the shoes. So you're just reminding them that's what we were doing. We were putting our shoes on. Yeah. And then trusting them that they'll do it. This is the thing, and this is the energetic piece, actually, trusting them that they will do it. And when you do, it can be like magic when they just go and do it, because you're like, I'd love you all to try this tomorrow and let me know, because it can be such a shock for people when they're like, I can't believe it, my child just went and did that. Even very little ones. I know there are people here with children who are like 2, 3, 4. So I think I've got a question here. So after you've said it and not do it or mess about, should we just wait? Yes. So that's the trust part, okay? It's kind of trusting them to go and do the thing you've asked them to. And not do it or mess about. Should we just wait? Yeah. So do you mean by that, Fatima, that you're telling them, you know, not to mess about? Is that what you mean by that phrase? Let me know if that's what you mean. So after you've said your shoes are by the door, you've given them a reminder if they get distracted, the shoes, you know, to go and put those on and keep on track. Sorry, meant if they don't listen or mess about, should we wait? So I'm going to give you the third option as well. So we've had the giving information, we've had the reminding them with a word, and I've put given information again, but I didn't mean to put that. I was going to do a different one, wasn't I? What was the third one I was going to do? So we've got giving information, we've got saying it with a word. Well, I'll do another example of giving information, which is here, and I'll give you an extra one, which really goes along with trusting them to come, which is with the threat and the shouting. So we've got, with the giving information here, we've got food gets cold when we leave it too long. So this is really great, particularly for very little ones as well, but older ones as well, but particularly little ones, is coming from that place of they don't necessarily know or remember that, you know, if you leave your food, it gets cold. Or when we start dinner after 6, we run out of time for a story. So can you see with these ones here, they're giving information on this bit, that instead of the threats of, you know, you won't get any pudding, or those kind of threats, which can come from this place of we won't have enough time for things, right? Because you're trying to hurry them up often. But instead of threatening them or warning them about the consequences in a kind of threatening way, giving them information that's empowering them. So it's nuanced, right? So we've got food gets cold when we leave it too long. Or when we start dinner after 6, we run out of time for a story. So that's the fact, right? So try those ones out, and I'm going to give you a little bonus one as well, which goes alongside the trusting them to come, which is in the foundational skills that I share, which is with the food, you could let them know the food's on the table. Yeah, or come to the table when you're ready. And then let them come when they're ready. So you're giving some information. The food's ready. You know, the food's on the table. Come when you're ready. And let them come. And it is that thing of trusting them to come, to cooperate. Okay. And it feels like magic when they do it. So here's a mum who tried out some of these skills. I used this successfully this morning to get my older 2 down to breakfast. Usually I have to ask them to come downstairs a number of times before they comply, after a lot of complaining too. Today I just told them to join me downstairs for breakfast when they were ready, right? So she used that when they were ready. I was pleasantly surprised when my daughter came down less than a minute later and my son called down to ask if he could have another couple of minutes to finish a Lego build he was working on. I told him he could come down when he was ready, and he came down within another few minutes. It was the least stressful morning I've had in a long time. So I just wanted to show you some, so it's not just me telling you that, this really works. These skills really work. And you might be somebody who's watching this and you might be thinking, well, I've tried these and it didn't work. So they work really well and they're very successful, and I've been using them for years. Sometimes, often, actually the majority of times that they don't work is when we've forgotten to listen first. So this is the thing. For your children to listen to you, you have to go first. You actually have to listen to them and build a caring connection with them. And the way we do that is with active listening. So I have a course called 4 Steps to Help Your Child Manage the Big Emotions, in which I take people through this foundational step of active listening, and really break it down. And when I take people through that, a side effect of doing that is a lot of cooperation, actually. When you listen to your child first, their cooperation increases massively. It also de-escalates tantrums and meltdowns, big emotions, learning the foundational skills. I'm not going into those tonight because tonight's skills are about the listening and about the cooperation part. But I just wanted you to know that there are some foundational skills that go before that make a massive difference. And if you're trying out the cooperation skills and they're not working, my recommendation is that you go to these foundations. Okay. And when I take people through these foundational skills, here are some of the results from when people do the listening first. So Tracy was experiencing a lot of meltdowns. I think we've only had 2 or 3 meltdowns since your 5-day course. It used to be daily, so the improvement is massive. Thank you for the opportunity. So I checked in with her. It was about 3 weeks after, and 2 to 3 meltdowns over 3 weeks was huge for her because she would have three in a day easily. So, like I said, that side effect of the meltdowns decreasing. And when we do this listening first, cooperation goes up. So again, when I took these 2 parents through, these are the results they got. This parent, a big, in fact, huge win. My son is self-settling in bed for the first time in years. Wow, that is an unexpected fallout from the training and having a calmer home. So that, like I say, was going through those foundational skills. They got that result, which you would think of is more cooperation, right? With being able to go to bed and go to sleep. And that is the side effect of doing this listening first. So it's always the starting point when I work with people. It's so powerful, so foundational, so essential to know how to do that. And this one told my son that the tea was ready. He immediately got stressed and shouted he didn't want his tea. I bent down and listened, then said, food is on the table, and used your 4 magic words and went to the kitchen. He instantly ran after me shouting, wait for me, then ate 2 platefuls of pasta happily. So I'm just looking at the chat. So Sharon saying, I didn't used to listen, then realized because I always had the phone in my hand. Now I leave it in the office when I'm around the kids. That way I'm more likely to listen. That's such a great strategy, actually, because we can be so distracted. And so if you're in that position where you're finding that your, children aren't listening, you can do what, Sharon's mentioned there, which is, put your phone down and be very present with your children, because it makes a massive, massive difference. That listening part is huge. And another win from Amy here. My daughter has been so good today, wanting to make mummy happy. There have been some meltdown moments, but they have been resolved quickly with me remaining calm and working through the stages. So this is the thing, having tools at your fingertips, right? Having a 4-step process that you can go through that means you can de-escalate big emotions and tantrums or meltdowns, right? Or having skills around cooperation, so it makes life easier, so that getting the shoes on, getting dinner, having a bath, all of those day-to-day things get easier is huge, is huge. And so I work around 4 pillars of transformation. So these skills I'm talking about is developing a toolkit of gentle, conscious parenting skills so that you've got those at your fingertips, so that you know. And when parents have that, it really increases your confidence to be able to support your children, you know, in a way that feels good and in alignment. So that's one of my pillars of transformation, is the toolkit of practical skills. There's also a mindset piece. Our mindset can really get in our way. And what I mean by that is the thoughts and feelings that we have around, I mean, in terms of our mindset, thinking, well, this will never work, so you don't try it, means it can't work for you, right? That's part of our mindset. And intuition is a part of the skills that I share with parents. And what I mean by intuition, that's really connected to your connection, your attachment, the love you have with your child, and that those gut feelings. Because I very much believe that parents, that you are the expert in terms of your child. You know them better than anyone else. And, you know, when we come from that place of listening and that place of connection, you have those gut feelings. What are the 4 magic words when you are ready? When you are ready are the 4 magic words. So I shared those with you a bit earlier. Yeah. And so I support parents with the mindset, with the building the practical toolkit, with developing your confidence, your intuition, and consistency, wrapping that. I mean, how many times have you thought or had, you know, somebody say, oh, you know, you need to be more consistent with your children? When you, what I mean by consistency, or a part of consistency that I think is really important, is doing things long enough for them to work. Doing them long enough for them to work, because sometimes we'll try something, then we'll try something else, and then we'll try something else. And you can have this bit of a spattergun kind of approach. But when you know that if I do this 4-step process and I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this, that it's going to work, that it's going to support you, then and you do that until you get the results. So having, you know, tried and tested strategies is so important to use consistently, and that's when you see the change. So I'm just going to the chat. Sometimes I get impatient when they're talking. They try to articulate their words in, I'm so impatient, like, come on, tell me. Gosh, that sounds so bad of me. It's okay. Like, we're all human. And I think this is really important, right? There's no such thing as a perfect parent. I think people think to be a gentle and conscious parent, you've got to be patient all the time. And, you know, it's great if you can be patient, but actually, if you are trying to be nicer than you actually feel, then you can end up going from being really nice, really nice, really nice, really nice, because it's kind of forced in a way. It's nicer than you actually feel, to then oscillating and swinging to shouting, and then your kids are like, whoa, she was saying it in a really nice voice a second ago, and now it's like, get your shoes on now, because you've lost your rag, because you weren't being authentic, actually, you know. Oh, there's so much I can share with you. There's more skills around that, okay, around communicating your level of patience and how that is, because, you know, being authentic is really important with your children and really helpful, and means you then don't oscillate between you know, being overly nice and super nice to then snapping because you were trying to be nicer than you feel, if that makes sense. If you use the 4 words, will they ever be ready? Yeah, that's always the worry. And that's the mindset piece. That is the worry. But when you follow the 4 steps and you use it, it works most of the time. And these skills aren't going to work all of the time. So just to say that, they're not. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But they tend to work the majority of the time. And if one skill isn't working, that's why we have whole sets of skills. So within the foundational skills, there are the 4 different skills. So you can try each of them, right? One of them will work. My little one would probably carry on playing. Can you please expand on when you are ready? Yeah, so actually my little one used to always say, Mummy always shouts, to the point when I'm not shouting, he still thinks I am. Was like, oh my God, can't win. So it sounds like he's been used to a lot of shouting. And so for you to have, you know, some clear strategies that you can use and work through and have those replace things, I think would really support you to have that. And then your child's view will change as well, which is so nice. And they start copying you when you use these skills. They start copying you as well, and you hear them with their siblings, or you hear them with a friend, and when it gets to that point, it's just so gorgeous. And my 4-year-old told me today, give me some peace. Lol. And I know where she's heard that from me. Yeah, exactly. And you know, I hadn't even read your comment. So this is what I'm talking about. They start to copy us, you know. Well, what am I saying? They start to copy us. They're always copying us, right? I mean, let me know in the comments if your child has ever said something you're like, that's come from me, you know, something that you're like wasn't great, or you're embarrassed about because they said it in public or whatever. Put a yes in the comments if that's ever happened to you. You know, they're copying us all the time. You are the leader of your family. You are teaching your child how to be in the world. You are their role model. And so they're copying us all the time, right? So having some skills to sort of help support them is so important. Okay, so yes, people are saying yes. I can't take it too much longer, Mummy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can't take it too much longer, Mummy. And when they're so little and they say these things, I remember my cousin saying, in all my days. And she's like 3, right? Because obviously she was copying her granny, you know. They copy us. Okay, my daughter just said, Mummy, that sounds like you, lol. Just said it was with the little one. OMG, that's funny. Give me some peace. Copying. They say need some space, or give me 2 mins. Yes, totally. Yeah. They copy us, right? So having some really helpful things for them to copy makes our lives so much easier. So, you know, building up a toolkit of skills helps you, it helps your child, it helps your family, it helps you have a calmer, happier family life. So let me tell you about this toolkit of skills I'm talking about. So I'm going to be doing an 8-week immersion that starts next week. And this is something I do in my Conscious Parenting Mastermind at least once a year to really help the parents within that grow their toolkit of skills and have accountability and support while they do that. Now, the foundational skills I was talking about, which the 4 magic words are in, and other skills are in the active listening. So that's all around dealing with feelings. and the active listening is a massive part of that. So I've touched on that a little bit tonight. And then I've shared 3 of the cooperation skills with you, and there's a set of 6 within that. So, and then we have skills around discipline and punishment, you know, alternatives to punishment, what you can do, autonomy and independence, how you can help them be more independent, ways of praising them that works. If you've ever had that experience where your child, you say, oh, you did that really well, and they push it away, or they say, no, I didn't, or so and so is better, or if you've ever had that experience, then we go through a way of praising that helps it land for them so that they end up praising themselves. And skills around their identity and their self-esteem, building their self-esteem and building their confidence in the world. So that's what we go through in this 8-week immersion that is so, so powerful. So like I said, number 2 was the cooperation one. And the cooperation skills are all about the day-to-day stuff, all the things we need to get our children to do or stop them from doing because, you know, putting beans up their nose or whatever it is. And so we go through 5, I think there's 6 ways of helping them. So we can get away from the lecturing and the blaming and the threats and warnings and all of those things, and replace those with strategies that feel good for you and feel good for your child and mean you don't end up frustrated and annoyed. So if there's one thing that you'll take away tonight, my hope is that I want you to know that you can get your kids to listen without resorting to methods that leave you and your child feeling rubbish. There are ways of doing this that are in alignment with your values, that are in alignment with gentle parenting, with conscious parenting, respectful, positive, mindful, whatever you want to call it. And they work. So yeah, Trina did my immersion a while ago, and this is what she had to say about it. I'm just going to share that with you. I decided that this was the first real possibility on helping me to be a better mum and signed up to the 8-week course. Sarah's lovely, calm, knowledgeable, empathetic and supportive. Sarah can think on her feet and give advice to all and any parenting situation. There's no way without the group I could have ever made changes to my parenting. I would highly recommend Sarah's course and would also suggest doing it for any age child. Thank you, Sarah, for helping me. The hardest job anyone could ever have. So Trina was one of these people, and I hear this a lot when I work with parents who said, I wish I had found you 4 years ago. I think her daughter was 8 when we started working together, 7 or 8. And she had been trawling the internet for, you know, listening to podcasts and reading books and all this stuff. And within the, you know, the 8 weeks really made significant changes. Yeah. Now, can you apply what I have shared with you tonight to your life and get the same results? Yeah, you can. You can do it on your own, you know. Part of the reason why I teach and share these parenting approaches is because when I found them for myself, one of the ways that keeps me using them myself is helping other people, you know, is supporting other people. Because the thing is, our children go through different ages and stages. So something will work for a while, then it'll stop working and you'll need to use a different strategy, you know, and different strategies work at different times for your child, and it's a very individual thing. So and this is what I support people with within the Conscious Parenting Mastermind. Yeah. So I just wanted to share one more testimonial, which was Audrey. I loved working with Audrey. We worked together one-to-one as well as in the group. Sarah's amazing. The resources she uses are timeless. Her unique, tight-knit community for the course is very special, and one-to-one sessions with her are the cherry on top. I'm very picky about the parenting resources I use, but Sarah and her course are 100% in alignment with my values as a parent. She's helped me and my husband up our game as parents, and it's even helped the relationship between us. So whenever I work with parents, there is always there's always a side effect. There's always an unexpected side effect. And I love those. So for this couple, their relationship, it impacted their relationship hugely, and improved it. So that was their unexpected side effect. I can't recommend her enough. We'll be taking more courses from her in the future. So I'm going to just tell you a bit about the immersion and the Conscious Parenting Mastermind. So this immersion that's coming up, what it looks like is weekly skills training in bite-sized pieces. So you get those through to do in your own time, and you have a portal within which to look at the skills and go through the skills and listen to them while you're, on the school run, or or on the way back from the school run, or when you're washing up, or whenever you want to listen to those. So they're delivered in bite-sized pieces. And then we have regular group coaching calls. They're for the immersion, it's a bit more intensive than usually in the mastermind. So they're pretty much weekly over the 8 weeks. So you get that support once a week and that accountability to check in. And you get the mindset training to develop a positive mindset around it. So the things that block you from giving things a go, from trying new things, from there's support around that, and there's a dedicated support group with that as well. So I'm going to let you know what the investment for that is for people who are interested in having support through the mastermind. So the Conscious Parenting Mastermind. So there's the 8-week live round immersion that's worth £1,111. We do that once or sometimes twice in a year. So the mastermind, just so that you know, is I do this immersive experience within the mastermind, and you get lifetime access to it. I used to run courses and programs, and for me, I wanted people to have that support more ongoingly, because like I say, things change. They can be fine for a few months and then something changes, and you want that, you want that support. You want to be able to tap back into that support, because things shift and change, and you go through different ages and stages. You get the 4 steps that I mentioned. You get a full parenting curriculum. You get a mindset audio series. You get the monthly group coaching calls. So when we're not in an immersion, you get a monthly group coaching call and a monthly well-being circle as well. There are talks and workshops within the mastermind. There's a dedicated support group for it. And everybody who registers off the back of this workshop will also get a bonus one-to-one coaching session with me worth £147. So there's, £3,683 worth of value within the mastermind. And the paying full price that I do it at is £1,111 for it. And that's for lifetime access. And there's a payment plan for those who want to pay monthly, which is £97 over 12 installments. And then that's it. You've got lifetime access to it, for when things change, or you want to keep growing and developing, because our parenting never stops, right? So, and I've been using these skills and sharing them for 13 years, and I plan to continue for a long time yet. So that is the investment for those who are interested in having support over a longer period of time. I love working with parents who are ready for change. You know, it's time to get things sorted. You know, it's time to make a change. You've read the books, you've listened to the podcasts, and it wasn't enough. And you want support to speed up your results. You know, a lady did my 4 steps to help your child manage their big emotions in February last year, so it's almost a year ago now. And she decided to join the mastermind. And she said to me that she saw more changes in a week than in the last 2 years where she'd been having parenting support elsewhere. So I was just like, that is brilliant. That's amazing. You know, that really made my day. Um, so if you're thinking, yes, that you would love to join the mastermind, but you've got some questions, you can book a 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 compatibility call. If you've got a partner, do bring them, whoever needs to be there to make the decision. It's better if you both come on the call. And on the call, we'll look at where you are now, where you want to be, and whether it's a good fit for you. Because if it's not a good fit for you, I'll let you know. You know, I'll recommend you to go and do some other things first before you join the mastermind, or it might not be quite the right fit for you right now. And we can really check that out. It really is about looking whether it's the right fit for you. And the right space for you to be in. If you're wanting a call to answer those questions, I do have limited spaces because it's only me who does the calls. So yeah, so book a slot in if that's what you want to do. Yeah, and if you're thinking, well, I just want my children to change. Sometimes people just want their children to change, but they're not willing to do the work on themselves. I work with something called the law of resonance, right? Which is so empowering for parents, because when you alter how you are responding to your child, their behavior changes, and it's amazing. And it's empowering for you because often parents come feeling disempowered, feeling like they need to sort out their child's behavior, and don't know that when they make shifts and changes, their child's behavior changes in response. Sometimes people think that their child needs some support, and I'm not saying they don't. They might need some support as well, but there's so much you can do from you, and that's really empowering, because then you're not at the mercy of somebody else. You're not at the mercy of your child. You know, they calibrate to you, they copy you, you know, so you're actually a more powerful influence than you know. And that's a really good thing. That's an empowering thing, because you get to be the leader of your family. You get to support your children to feel happier, more confident, and all those things. And when it's coming from the work that you're doing, it is so satisfying as well. Yeah, and like I said earlier, if you prefer kind of traditional, more punitive approaches, this isn't for you. You know, these approaches aren't for you. But yeah, and I'm just gonna finish off this bit on, you know, I wish I'd found you 4 years ago. I've heard that so many times. I wish I found you when my children were younger. I wish I had this. And you know, I want to encourage people and give you enough information so that you can get the support and change those family dynamics, because there's amazing things that we can do in a group or 1-to-1. I do work with parents 1-to-1 and 2-to-1 as well, so that is also an option for people. So let's get on to the Q&A part of this evening. Have you got any questions about tonight, the skills that I've shared with you tonight? I know I did answer a lot of the questions as we went along. Do you have any questions about the mastermind? So pop those in the chat if you've got any questions. What I'd also love you to pop in the chat is, what are you taking away? What are you taking away tonight? You know, which of the skills are you going to go try out? Because one of the things that's makes the biggest difference is learning some new skills, so getting the knowledge, but also applying it, because if you don't use it, it can't work for you, you know. So what are you going to try out? Let us know in the comments from what you've heard. What are you taking away? What's landed with you? Let me know in the comments. And if you've got any questions, pop those in there. I'll come and check the comments. Any questions as we finish up for tonight? No questions in the chat. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can see me. Okay. Oh, am I just not seeing the questions? Let me just scroll through. Yeah, so takeaways. We've got listening to kids more and explaining rather than threats. Thank you. Brilliant. Any other takeaways? What are you taking away tonight? What are you going to try out? Pop them in the chat. I'm going to try just giving information and then try the one word. Brilliant. I'd love to hear, Gabby, how you get on with that. Okay. The giving information disassociates me from the desired action, which I hope will make me less invested in it and thus have a more positive response from the kids. Great. Yeah. Give it a go. Yeah. Thank you. Just listening for me patiently, though. Yeah. The 4 magic words. Brilliant, Maria. Listening and trying the 4 magic words. Absolutely. Brilliant. Yeah, give them a go. I would love to hear how you get on with them. And I've just realized I didn't put the link in the chat for you. So I'm just going to do that. If anybody is interested in joining the Conscious Parenting Mastermind, or what has any questions about it, wants to find out more about that, or the one-to-one support that I offer, or any other of my offerings as well. Let me just put the link in here. Oh, I've accidentally put that in the waiting room. Hang on a minute. There we go. That's better. So you should all be able to see that. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. The 4 magic words will be put into practice tomorrow. No threats, as well as often I find them empty and don't work. It's so true. That's the trouble with threats. When you make threats, and you might have done it yourself, you might have heard parents do it, that make threats, often they're empty threats because you don't want to carry them out, because actually, you know, that threat of, well, if you don't behave, we're not going to go to that restaurant for dinner, for instance, then you go because you wanted to go to the restaurant. So that threat was, you know, punishing them and punishing you, you know, so they end up being empty threats, and then you go and do the thing. So yeah, threats often don't work. They're often empty. So replacing threats is a really great idea. And the replacements, and there are more skills as well that you can replace threats with, makes such a difference. When you have those at your fingertips, you know, from your toolkit, then you don't need to do that anymore, you know. And life becomes calmer with your kids, and happier, and a lot more cooperative, which, yeah, makes life easier and brings you more energy and joy. You know, life's so much more joyful, right? So we're going to finish up there. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. I would love to hear from you when you use those skills, how they go. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And you will get the replay through as well. I know some people came on quite late, so won't have seen the whole of this. So do check out the beginning that you missed of this when I was going through, because I know some people came in towards the end and missed the skills part of the beginning. So go back and have a look at that. And those who are watching the replay, let me know how you get on as well. Thanks a lot. We'll definitely try out some of the things tomorrow morning. Brilliant, Amanda. Let me know how you get on. And yeah, have a great rest of your evening. I hope you have a great night's sleep, everybody.